Hey everybody, and welcome back to This Week in Magic Online Finance. I'm your host, Chaz Andres, and as always, we're going to get started this week with the news. It wasn't that busy a news week in Magic, but Dominaria preview season is finally here, returning to Dominaria, and what that means is a renewed sense of interest in Magic's standard format. At least that's what I'm hoping. Now, if you're going to try and speculate on existing cards, the key thing to remember is that Ixalan block is going to be here for a whole nother year, while Amonkhet and Kaladesh block's only going to be here for another few months. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't going to be any spikes to Kaladesh cards or Amonkhet cards, but don't forget that the ceiling on those is going to be lower, and you're going to have to move out of them quite a lot quicker. So of course, the whole Dominaria spoiler hasn't been released yet, we don't know what all the cards are, but I do definitely expect Wizards to be a key hot commodity in the early going. I don't know if they're actually going to be any good. We all remember what the Merfolk hype was like in the early days of Rivals of Ixalan and what that sort of didn't turn out to be, but the Wizards exclusive counterspell, the Wizards Matter Lightning Bolt, those look really pushed for standard, and I wouldn't be surprised if people do everything it takes to at least try to make those decks work early on. So if you're looking for an edge in your standard speculation, I suggest spending some time on the website Mythic Spoiler. What they've done over there is they've taken all of the officially previewed Dominaria cards and combined them with graphical representations of all of the leaked Dominaria cards. If you spend some time looking those over, you may end up finding an edge that we've all kind of missed. Now, I also want to point out that a return to Dominaria may also lead to modern prices finally dropping a little bit. Now, you don't have to panic, the market's not going to tank or anything like that, but it's worth pointing out that, first of all, early spring has always been the height of Eternal season. Eternal prices are always the highest that time of year, and also, prices tend to drop whenever the community's focus moves on to something else. Modern is likely to be Wizards' marquee format throughout 2018. It's the most popular format in Magic right now. I don't think that's going to change, but we may have actually passed its financial high watermark for the year. Let's move on to gaining ground. We're in Standard, the card that gained the most ground this week, Angel of Invention, moving 2 tickets up from 4.5 up to 6.5, as Blue-White Gift continues to sort of fly its way back into relevance in the metagame. In fact, it's probably the deck that is the best right now that doesn't involve either Hazoret the Fervent or the Scarab God. Now, I don't love this spec long term. Blue-White Gift is going to rotate in September, and once Dominaria comes out, people are going to be excited about new strategies that may be able to be played for a year or longer. In the meantime, though, it is possible that Angel of Invention can sustain a price tag in the 8 to 10 ticket range for a while. When it hits that point, though, I'd be looking to sell. Let's move on to Modern, where at long last, Horizon Canopy was our biggest gainer of the week. It surged 13 tickets from 48 all the way up to 61, and I hope that you bought in already. I've been talking about this card for months now, because Iconic Masters, it just wasn't opened a lot on Magic Online, and this card is crucial in both humans and Bogles, among other good decks. I expect it'll stabilize probably close to the 65 ticket range, and well, you've kind of missed your chance to buy in, so I hope you've been listening and you've got your copies already. Let's move on to our biggest loser. We're in Standard, it is unfortunately Chandra, Torch of Defiance, dropping 4 tickets from 24 down to 20. And the problem here is it just doesn't see a lot of play in the current Standard metagame. It's in the sideboard of mono red and black red aggro, but that's really about it. And it's possible that Dominaria will sort of shake Chandra back into relevance in the Standard metagame again, but until that happens, or unless that happens, its current level of play just doesn't justify a price tag above 20. I don't see this one rebounding unless something changes. Let's move on to Modern, where our biggest loser this week was yet another Jund staple. While human cards continue to rise, Jund cards kinda continue to fall. Liliana the Last Hope took the biggest hit this week, dropping 8 full tickets from 44 down to 36, and it looks like that trend isn't going to reverse itself until Liliana the Last Hope ends up at least in the high 20s. I do like the card long term, it sees plenty of play in Modern, and even sees some play in Legacy, but in the meantime, Jund got just way too hyped, and it hasn't been putting up results in recent weeks. I think all of the staples in Jund have at least a little more value left to give. Let's move on to our sneak of the week, and this week our sneak is Hydroblast. Hydroblast is a Pauper staple that was 7 tickets back in early March. It's up to 13 tickets now and continuing to climb. Hydroblast is played in pretty much every blue deck in the entirety of the Pauper format, and if it was going to be reprinted, it would have happened in Masters 25. But they went with Blue Elemental Blast instead, so I'm not sure where Wizards is going to bring this one back. It's got a pretty high supply in paper because it was an Ice Age, but online it was only printed in Masters Edition, which means that it definitely has more room to grow. I wouldn't be surprised if this one ends up in the 15 to 20 ticket range long term. Let's end the week by taking a look at the MTGO Traders sales data over the past 7 days. And as always, this gives us a great idea of what cards are actually the most popular right now. Not just gaining or losing value, but which cards are people buying. In terms of overall units sold, there's no change to our top 4, but we have a new card entering the list at number 5. It's Rancor from Masters 25. Look, it's a modern card from a current set. I don't think there's a ton of value to be gained there right now, but it speaks to the popularity of Bogles among people building modern decks right now. Combine this with the fact that Horizon Canopy, another Bogles staple, also jumped this week, and I think I would at least take a quick look at the Bogles deck list and see if maybe there aren't a few interesting specs there. It could be a way to get ahead of next week's demand curve. Now, in terms of overall value sold, Modern still reigns supreme. Jace, Liliana, Horizon Canopy, Blood Moon, and Scalding Tarn are our top 5. And the most sold standard card is Walking Ballista, which sees way more play in Modern than in Standard, so does it even count as a standard card? Now, I don't think there are any slam dunk spec opportunities here, but it's worth noting that Surgical Extraction comes in at number 10, and it's definitely the best selling card that hasn't had at least a minor price spike over the past couple of weeks. So that's not enough for me to go in and speculate on, especially because the card is still fairly expensive, but if you've been holding off on buying these for your personal collection, now would be a pretty good time to do it. I wouldn't wait around too much longer. That's all I got for you this week. I hope you had a great holiday weekend, and join me next Monday morning for another episode of This Week in Magic Online Finance.